雾江的夜，美如一则谜。一江逝水，衬以渺渺银河。星辰如洒，近得快要坠下来似的。其壮阔与寂静，令人又喜又哀。停顿的间隙，岁月好像咳嗽了一声，提醒我们什么该说，什么不该说。沉默之间，我感觉这些年的千山万水，在此刻终于静止成为一幅画，就这么无法被涂改的置于眼前。My name is Qi Jin Nian. I'm from China. Mostly I do novels and essays. Started the career quite young, so 20 years so far, and with 12 books, and really enjoyed, yeah. I guess the best thing would be creatively engaging with this beautiful language per se, because Chinese is really a beautiful language, and the beauty of subtleness is somehow can be only appreciated by native speakers, I guess. The worst part, I guess, comes from the writing per se. You know, it's a tough journey to go with, yeah. The complexity of the society, which is rooted in its unique history and culture. And I find the sophistication of the society, which also brings the amplitude of topics to write about, which is a good thing, you know, a lot of to dig. And it is the best part of the country, I guess. My master degree in international journalism in Hong Kong Baptist University. And nonfiction writing is totally different from creative writing, which I've been doing for so long. So, but the training in journalism, especially in Hong Kong, you know, it's a hub of a cosmopolitan, a big city, you know, the cultures mixed together. That training brings me a perspective of diversity, I guess, because I know still can recall one sentence by my professor that there is no justice in the world, only the sense of justice. Yeah, so but somehow the fiction writing always been my priority, and even until now, I'm shifting my genres to essays writing more, because I always find these, because I'm an outdoor enthusiast, really, really attached to the beauty of nature. Because I want to explore the world beyond mankind. It's not a story, it's just about people, just about stories of, you know, the normal life, but also the lives in general. I mean, the mountains, animals, actually the eco-diversity is the essence of the universe, actually. Somehow we forgot that, you know, because we're living in the world of people. But then, and this diversity perspective is really shaped my writing style and also my lifestyle, I guess. I guess pleasure would be even an understatement. I find this euphoria in writing when your mind is totally immersed and engaged in such a process of creative flow, you know, in the zone, the time would vanish. You won't sense any time passed, and that kind of zone is kind of euphoria for me. And after that, I feel I had lived through multiple lives with the characters I created and the stories I've been developed. So that's just the pure spiritual blessing during the ride. And of course, the bless and the cursing is, it feels really worse when you cannot get into the flow and stuck in somewhere. You know, it happens all the time, 50-50, yeah. I don't think writers carry a public duty, but I would say it's a personal duty to the public. for the well-being of the human psyche in general. So it's not you don't have to carry a specific like a propaganda or something during your writing. Don't go too political because that will diminish the essence of your writing as a literature work. But somehow it's a personal duty to the well-being of a human being, I guess. Yeah, that's the hardest question. I barely get any support from the from the country where I come from because it's quite a unique crucial time that the focus of the country seems only economically speaking, whereas art and literature in general is quite not of their concern in general. So writers and artists in general, including me, is kind of struggling with with themselves. Basically, that's how I experienced. So it's a pity to say that, but what the society offered might be just this tough background, you know. Somehow it can be a blessing for writers because it's so much to dig, you know. Of course, the list can be really, really long, but for now, few English British writers really bumps into my mind. That would be Geoff Dyer, John Berger, and Robert McFlum. None of them is novelist, but essays and critiques. I I really enjoy their jazz-like writing. You know, it's really spontaneous and pure, joyful writing, which really helps me to refine the pleasure of these creative expression per se. Because after being engaged in the professional writing, so-called professional writing for so long, somehow I treat it like my work, not as a way to entertain myself. Whereas by reading their works, I do find this pure pleasure back. So this really helps me to navigate my writing as well as my life. The ancient Chinese poets, such as Jiang Kui, and that's a smaller name, whereas Li Bai and Su Shi, those names would just be the legacy of the world literature, I would say. Yeah. Actually, I've been there working all the time, surprisingly. You know, actually, basically, I spend most of my time in the art library of the University of Iowa. That is what is the fantastic, it's such a quiet place. And spend most of my time revising my new book. I finished actually two drafts, you know, twice, and it's really, really efficient. And surprisingly, as for the experience in the States, I really, really appreciate the vibe of the Middle West. You know, this day, not the first time in the States, but wow, it's a big country with different atmosphere from, you know, different places. So it's nothing comes as culture shock, because I guess most of the people are quite familiar with American culture, more or less. Whereas it's just surprising to me and myself that I enjoy such a quiet life and a life of solitude, I guess. It's something newly I found during these experiences. It's a blessing journey to spend somewhere else for such a long time, comparatively speaking, long time, 2 months, to to how to say to know yourself better, actually, especially by contrasting those fellow writers from various background, is by engaging with so many different peoples and perspectives. That will be the totally highlight of my whole experiences, because not only Nian Hualin, but also her daughter invited us to visit her house, and we spent a few times together to engage these really precious conversations. And by observing such a writer of legacy, her rich life experiences, that reminds me how time is precious, and what it means to be a decent writer, and what you should left the legacy to the newcomers. And we visited the tomb, the cemetery of the other day, and by standing in front of the Poe angle, this just reading the poem engraved in her tombstone, it is just overwhelming, I would say. This best the highlights that I can engage in such a conversation with mother tongue with her daughter Lan Lan. It's absolutely amazing.